Welcome, YouTube. It's Anthony back on Unapologetic Sport. All right, so this video right now, we're gonna be talking about the top 15 players in the league. This list right now, I have it written down. However, as I'm going, I might change a few places of players. I think there's some players who are on the same tier, like they're in the same area of players, but you know, I feel like they could be interchanged. You know, it's really all subjective. This is just my opinion. So if I say one player is better than this other player who happens to be your favorite player, don't get mad at me. It ain't my fault. I'm just, you know what I'm saying how I see it. So the 15th best player in the NBA, or I should say number 15 on my list, is none other than Kyrie Irving. I saw this thing on Instagram, I think it was, or it might have been TikTok or Twitter, whatever it was, but he is, and I agree with it. It said he is the most skilled point guard of all time. Not saying he's the best point guard of all time, but the most skilled. If you think about it, he has the mid-range game on lock. He has the three-point game on lock. He has the finishing ability. Like, he is up there as far as some of the best finishers we've ever seen. He's not dunking the ball, though. You know, you think of a player like LeBron James, who is one of the greatest, if not the greatest finisher we've ever seen. He dunks the ball a lot. Kyrie's not dunking the ball. He's just getting, like, he got right hand, left hand, the ball handle, the greatest ball handler of all time. I know many people say Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson did not have a handle like Kyrie. I've never seen anybody with a handle like this, and I don't think we ever will. He is easily the most skilled player, the most skilled point guard we've ever seen. Number 14, I have Russell Westbrook. Now, right now, Russell Westbrook, the future of his career is right now, as I'm recording this video, unknown. It could change, you know. He potentially could get traded during this draft. You don't know what could happen, but right now, the way his career is set to go, we not know for sure because, you know, he requested a trade out of Houston, which is unfortunate, you know. I'm a Houston fan, but, you know, I think his game, it's a lot of recency bias against Westbrook. A lot of people are saying he's not that good because, you know, his recent years of shooting the basketball has just not been great. But he is the most athletic point guard we've ever seen. So he went from the most skilled point guard to the most athletic point guard we've ever seen. And he has a drive for the game. He has the heart. He has the passion. He gives it his all every single night. Even when his shot's not falling, he's still going to go out there and give it his all. You know, in the playoffs this year, he didn't play that well. I don't want to blame it on him per se. I mean, he had the quad injury and he had got the virus. But, you know, I think when he's healthy, fully healthy, and when he can do what he wants to do on the court, you know, he can be really effective. I mean, you think about once the Rockets traded Clint Capella, Russell Westbrook started balling. Like, he was on the tear. And, you know, it kind of changed, you know, because I think he still needs a big man on the court. I think, you know, trading Clint Capella was not the best way to go about things, but it is what it is. And, you know, I hope to see he go to a team that will really, you know, utilize his strengths, and, you know, he wants to be the primary ball handler again. I hope that he can go to a team and he can do that. And I want to see him prove everybody wrong and show that he is still, you know, one of those guys. He's still that guy. Number 13 is another player that is suffering from recency bias. Paul George is getting a lot of flack for how he played in the bubble. He went from player, let's talk about last season. He was a top 3 MVP candidate. You know, the MVPG13 thing was going on, but I mean, he was never really a pick for me as far as MVP that year, but he really is one of those players that, you know, he's very skilled. He has the whole package. Of course, I think his athletic ability is not as good as it used to be. You know, after he suffered that leg injury a few years back. But, you know, he's another player, has the mid-range, has the three-pointer. He can finish. He can defend, even though he gets put on a lot of highlight reels and everything like that. But I think if he really got to play his game, you know, and he really, you know, was hitting the shots he should hit and all that kind of stuff, then he could really be a top 10 player in the league again, you know. But as of right now, it hasn't been 13. I didn't want to put him too much lower because I feel like he still brings so much to the table. But, you know, I can't ignore how he played in that bubble. I have to put that into account that, you know, there's players that are better than him, or at least they played better than him. Number 12 on the list. Now, this one, I didn't know where, like, when I first was thinking of the list, I was thinking of it in my head. I was just going number by number, and I made the list, and then I had to think about it. I'm like, I feel like I'm missing somebody, and this is the player I was missing. Jayson Tatum. He is a player who every single year has gotten better and better and better, and I'm expecting he gets better. Now, the offseason was short, so not sure exactly how much better a player like him can get, because when you look, like, with the offseason being this short, he may not have as much time in the gym, but I feel like he's going to be better in some aspects. And he is literally every single year, I feel like they're getting closer and closer to being the team that'll come out the East. You know, the Milwaukee Bucks are still there. You got the Nets, you got the 76ers, but the Celtics with their core, with Jayson Tatum, I really feel like they can get out of the East. Probably not next year, probably not the year after that, but I feel like they're getting closer and closer with Jayson Tatum developing. And I think he is surely going to be a top 10 player in the league. I feel like at one point he is an MVP caliber type of player, and he could be a top 5, if not one of maybe the best player in the league one of these days. But right now, I have him at 12. Number 11. Now, these next few spots, all these players can be flip-flopped, and, you know, you can switch them however you want to. But as of right now, this is how I want to list them. So, at 11, I had Nikola Jokic. And he is a player that, like, okay, these top 10 players, I feel like can be a top contributor on a contending team. I don't want to say championship team, because some of these players, you know, haven't got to that yet, but I feel like it could be a contending, leading piece on a contending team. And Jokic and the Denver Nuggets got to the Western Conference Finals this year. They had to come back from 3-1 leads, and, you know, the way Jokic is, he's not a traditional big man. When you think of the NBA right now, NBA is starting to stir away from the traditional back to the basket, back down, punish the smaller defender big man. Jokic can do that, but he has more skill than that. He has guard-type skills as a 7-footer. He's one of the best passers in the league. He is one of the best ball handlers at his position. You know, he can shoot. He can, you know, do as many things on the court. Only thing is just he's not a great defender, but he is the Denver Nuggets' #1 option, and then Jamal Murray's #2. But I really feel like they are getting there to the point where the Denver Nuggets could be a contending team in the future, because he's really young still. I don't think he's even 25 yet. I think he's like 23, 24. I don't know how old he is. But yeah, he's a great player. Not quite my top 10. I mean, once my list is over, I'm gonna put it on the screen, and I want everyone to tell me who, like, because I feel like you can switch some of these players around that I'm about to name. Okay, but Jokic right now is number 11. Now, top 10. Okay, so okay, number 10. And I wasn't originally going to make a top 10 list, but I feel like I was going to, like, leave players out that should be mentioned at least. And as far as, like, Jayson Tatum, Kyrie, Westbrook, Paul George, Jokic, you know, I didn't want to leave them out, so I made a top 15 list. But top 10 was the original plan. And right at number 10, I had Jimmy Butler. Now, I have a friend, he doesn't quite think Jimmy Butler is a top 10 player, because what Jimmy Butler was doing in the finals, he wants to see that over a course of a full season. And you know, one thing I think is that Jimmy Butler had a different responsibility in the finals than he did in the regular seasons. In the regular season, they had Goran Dragic and they had Bam Adebayo. You know, Bam Adebayo only missed 2 games in the finals, I think it was. But, you know, Jimmy Butler didn't have the responsibility of passing the ball. You know, in the playoffs, up into the finals, Goran Dragic was their leading scorer. Jimmy Butler was the best player on the team, but Goran Dragic was the leading scorer. So, you know, he was doing what he has to do in the finals because that's what the team needed. And I think that's one thing Jimmy Butler always brings. He brings what the team needs. Not exactly, he's not out here trying to do, you know, what he can do. And we're being honest, Jimmy Butler can get 25, 26 points per game. You know, he's one of the best defenders in the league, and he can do everything on the court. You know, he's a great passer, as we saw him do in the finals. But he doesn't, that's not, you know what I'm saying, what the team needs. He does what the team needs. And I feel like with this finals run they just went on, you know, it's very slept on because you have to think about it. Other than the first round against the Pacers, they were the underdog against the Bucks. I had them beating the Bucks, but they were an underdog. And then many people, like I, had the Celtics winning against the Heat, and the Heat still won. So, you know, you have to really take into consideration how well Jimmy Butler is a leader. Every place he's went to, he's changed the franchise. And he's just a born winner. He has that killer instinct in him. And I really think that he's placed himself in the top 10 spot. Now, number 9, this is another player in that spot that you could flip-flop. I have Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard, when I was writing my list down, I had to think, I'm like, who do I think Damian Lillard is better than? And I don't think he's better than, well, maybe the person I have at number 8. But everyone higher than him. I don't think, you know, he's better than them at all. But, you know, Damian Lillard is a player who I think could be one of those players, like, because in the recent NBA, right now in the NBA, you don't see players stay with one franchise. You know, there's players like Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and, you know, possibly Draymond Green. They're always going to be Warriors and all that kind of stuff. They're going to stay on the Warriors. But you don't see players stay with one franchise throughout the course of their career because teams aren't loyal. And then, you know, players want to win championships. And if a player doesn't feel like they can win a championship, they're going to leave. And I feel like Damian Lillard, you know, he's not going to leave Portland. I think he's going to stay in Portland, you know, through thick and thin. Now, like I said, in the top 10 players, I feel like can be contending teams. When I say contending, I was specifically talking about, you know, the Portland Trail Blazers and Damian Lillard because I feel like Damian Lillard, I don't know if I see him being the best player on the championship team. There's another player on this list who I could say the same thing about, but we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to wait till I get to him. But I don't see Damian Lillard being the best player on the championship team, at least not with the way Portland is currently constructed. They, you know, struggle putting pieces around him and CJ to really win. You know, this season they only made the playoffs because the NBA had that play-in tournament. If it wasn't for that, they would not have been in the playoffs. And, you know, people really hype up that Western Conference Finals run they had the previous year, but, you know, yeah, they did beat OKC, who I had, you know, saying them beating, but, you know, then they played a Denver team who, you know, didn't really have any playoff experience at all. So for them, and it took them 7 games, and Damian Lillard literally almost choked that game. If it wasn't for CJ, they wouldn't have even been in the conference finals in the first place. And then a Warriors team with no Kevin Durant, and they still get swept. So I don't see Damian Lillard being the best player on the championship team, but he could be a best player on a contending team. So that's why I have him at 9. All right, the number 8 player on my list is Luka Doncic. Now, I'm a person who have found myself hating on Luka just a little bit. Not really. I think Luka, you know, when I remember he got drafted, I was a guy that was high on Luka, but people I think are overrating him right now. I think he can be a great player, and I feel like people saying he's a top 5 player in the league. I don't think Luka Doncic is a top 5 player. I don't think he's there yet, because when you think about he's a great passer. I don't. People say he's a point guard. I say he's a shooting guard, but whatever his position is, he's a great passer. But I think he needs to be a better shooter. He doesn't shoot the ball very well. He can hit shots, but he's a shot maker. He just needs to shoot better. Defensively, I feel like he is not where he could be. I mean, when you think of a guy, he's at 6'6". Not sure the weight and everything like that. But he's not a skinny guy. He has some meat on him. But I feel like he can really improve his game even more, and become that player that people are saying could potentially be the best player in the league. Number 7 and number 6, I have them in this spot right now, not because of who I think they are, but because of they were injured this previous year. You probably know who I'm talking about. So at number 6, I have Stephen Curry, and Stephen Curry is easily the best point guard in the league, because when you think of a player like Stephen Curry, he changed the game of basketball so much. He really is still changing the game of basketball. You still see the league still turn into a three-point shooting league, and he wasn't even like those Warriors teams that really changed the league. The 2015, 2016 teams, they weren't shooting threes as much as teams like the Rockets do. He was just so well at doing it. And when teams get guards, I mean, like, the draft is going on right now, and every single time a player gets picked, one of the main things they talk about is if they have that perimeter shot, because that's what teams need. That's what you need to do. So you have to be able to hit those shots to play in the NBA right now. And then the number 6 player on my list, Kevin Durant, who I made the video on earlier today. That's probably going to, earlier. I made that video. One of my previous videos I made on Kevin Durant. And, Kevin Durant is a player who I think before he got injured, I was one of those people who said he was probably the best player in the league. Because, he can do it all offensively. Passing, he became a better passer once he went to Golden State, and the ball was out of his hands and they were moving the ball more. But he really has it all. And I'm one of the people who think that if Kevin Durant is even at 80% of his previous self, he can still be, a top 10 player in the league. Now, this list that I'm making is based off how they played in the previous year and how I expect them to play in the next year. So players like Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant, they didn't play last year. Stephen Curry played like 5 games or something like that. But I'm really thinking about how they're going to play next year. And Stephen Curry had a broken hand. And I think the Warriors just told him, like, look, we're losing games. We're going to get a high pick in this draft, which they did. They selected James Wiseman. And, they were like, Steph, you've played in 5 straight NBA Finals up to this point. It's okay to take a year off. No need to wear yourself out. So I feel like they did that, and I think it might work out for them. But Kevin Durant, I'm really interested to see how he plays with Stephen Curry, and we already know how that worked. Really how he plays with Kyrie Irving, who is a top 15 player in the league in my opinion. And I really want to see, how that thing's going to work out up in Brooklyn. All right, top 5. Now, this is where it gets very controversial. You know what I mean. This is where it gets very interesting. At number 5, I have Giannis Antetokounmpo. And hear me out. Giannis is highly, in my opinion, highly overrated. I feel like, okay, so he's a 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, he's a great player and everything like that. But I want to say one thing, all right? I'm going to get the mic right here. James Harden was right. Giannis does not have any skill. And this is this is why a lot of people had the Heat beating them in the second round, because all you have to do is make sure Giannis can't get to the rim. And they did that, and Giannis struggled. He couldn't do anything. Now, he did get injured, whatever, but while he was playing, the Heat went up 3-0. So I don't want to hear anything about that. But yeah, I think Giannis can still improve his game. He still needs to get a three-point shot. I don't understand he's been working on it. But people were saying, like, because he was hitting more threes this year than he's ever hit in his career. And people were saying, oh, watch out for Giannis. He's hitting threes, you know, he's going to take over the league. But I don't really think he has that just yet. So as of right now, he's number 5 on my list. Number 4, I have my favorite player, James Harden. James Harden, just like Russell Westbrook, not really sure how everything's going to pan out this next season for them. But as of right now, I have James Harden number 4. Now, I could be a little biased towards James Harden. I saw this picture talking about which player would you defend to a certain extent, and I would defend James Harden, you know, as much as any other player. Like, I will defend the mess out of James Harden when it comes to NBA opinions. I feel like he's very underappreciated, and I think he's very overhated. People talk about how he gets the how he gets the free throw line, and you know, the step back, how it's a so-called travel, or you know, the bounds and leaps will go to get a foul. But people need to understand one thing about James Harden, that yes, he gets the foul on a lot, but they're overreacting when he gets to the line. You know, he averaged, in the past 3 years, he averaged 30, 36, and 34. One of the greatest scorers of all time. Right now, he's about at 20,000 points. He's going to end his career in the 30K club. And, you know, people have to realize, to be a great scorer, you have to be able to get to the line. Jimmy Butler gets to the line more than James Harden. If you watch the finals, you saw that. You saw Jimmy Butler get to the line whenever he wants to. When you think of players that, you know, I call James Harden a walking 40-piece because he can get to he can get 40 almost any single night. You know, at the beginning of the season, he was almost averaging 40. You know what I mean? So when you look at players like all time, look at some of the highest scoring games of all time. Look at their free throw count. You have to get to the line. No one is out here scoring 60 and only shooting 2 free throws. Like, that's not happening. You know, like, you have to get to the line. You know, teams are going to foul you. He just understands what's a foul. He understands how to get that foul. And, you know, those are easy buckets. You know, he does it so his team can win. Now, it's not winning it hasn't won a championship in Houston. We could see if he goes to a different team, if he changes his game. Because I feel like his game was, the past few years with Mike D'Antoni, I think his game was really, you know, I don't think that's really his play style. Because whenever, he used to shoot mid-ranges, but now, you know, with Mike D'Antoni, he didn't shoot any mid-ranges. But I really feel like, you know, with a different system, with a different environment, with a different culture, you know, his game is going to change, and he's really going to show his true skill, because he's one of the top skilled players in the league right now as we speak. Number 3 is Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis is a player who, whenever I thought about my top 10 players in the league, I never had him in that top 5. Part of the reason is because Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry were in there, so Anthony Davis had to be pushed out. But right now, as I'm speaking right now, he is number 3 on the list. And, you know, I don't think he can be I don't think he could be the best player on the championship team. And we just saw, you know, him win the championship with the Lakers, but LeBron was the best player on that team. But, you know, Anthony Davis is the best big man in the league. He is more versatile as far as offense as Giannis. He is unstoppable at the rim, like Giannis is, but Anthony Davis has that mid-range game. Giannis does not. Anthony Davis has a three-pointer. Giannis does not. Anthony Davis has a ball handle. Giannis does, but I feel like Anthony Davis has a better ball handle than Giannis. So that's why I have Anthony Davis better than Giannis. You know, I feel like he deserves a lot of respect. I am a big fan of Anthony Davis. Part of that, look who's on the screen right now. Look at Anthony Davis, so inspirational. You know, I think he is, you know, better than Giannis in a lot of aspects. And, you know, he's won the championship. We just saw him dominate. And I feel like he is going to be one of the best big men in league history because he's a great defender. He arguably could have been Defensive Player of the Year. You know, they gave it to Giannis, whatever. But, you know, Anthony Davis is very, very great. And I'm a fan of Anthony Davis. My name is Anthony. You know, I remember when he came into the league, I'm like, you know, he's going to be a great player. You know, just because we had the same name, first name at least. And, you know, he's lived up to that. You know, ever since he, you know, when he was in New Orleans, you know, they never put a team around him. But right now, with a team in LA, I feel like he's going to be one of the best big men of all time and, you know, do a lot of great things. Number 1 and number 2. Now, number 2 is Kawhi Leonard. So you already know LeBron James is number 1. Let's talk about Kawhi right now. I'm gonna upload this video after I have my Kawhi video out, so you're already gonna know what I think about Kawhi. But like I'm gonna say it in this video, like I said in the last video, Kawhi, you know, 2012, no one talked about him, no one knew him. 2013, no one really knew him. 2014, wins Finals MVP. That's the first year people know about him, really. 2015, you know, everyone knows about him, but, you know, he doesn't have the keys, so no one cares. 2016, the team is his, but, you know, you still have players like Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. So the team isn't really his. 2017, the team is his. He gets to the conference finals. They're up 20 against the Warriors, and he gets injured. Zaza Pachulia injured him. 2018, he doesn't play. 2019 was a championship. 2020, he blows a 3-1 lead. I think he's finally being held accountable, and I feel like for the Clippers to win a championship with Kawhi Leonard, he really has to, it really has to be his team. But enough about Kawhi. Let's talk about the king, the best player in the league, LeBron James. He just won the championship. His fourth Finals MVP. Arguably could have been an MVP. In my opinion, he was. He's so great. And, you know, he's one of those players that, growing up, I didn't like to root for teams or the players that everyone rooted for. I wanted to be different. I didn't want to be like everybody else. But it came to the point where I'm like, look, I have to appreciate him while he's still here because, you know, there's players that don't really get appreciated while they're playing, but as soon as they retire, everyone's like, oh, I've been a fan. Oh, I've been like this player, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, LeBron, you have to acknowledge his greatness right now, and he is easily one of, if not the greatest player of all time. I don't make GOAT lists. I don't say who's the GOAT. I don't be like, oh, Michael Jordan's the GOAT or LeBron's the GOAT. I just, you know, they both have an argument for it, but, you know, he is on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. He is one of the greatest players of all time, and I think he doesn't get appreciated enough, even with him being considered one of the greatest of all time. But that's it for my top 15 players list. Here it is right here. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the top 15 players list. I'm interested to see how all these players play in this next season. But yeah, that's it for Anthony from Unapologetic Sports. I understand it's gonna be a long video, but you know, we're working out here. All right, we're still getting videos out, so that's what's important. So thank you for watching the video. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe, share with a friend. This is Anthony from Unapologetic Sports. Peace.